This is a Joe Rogan podcast.
Literally, yeah.
He seems like he's stoned every time.
I was watching a video the other day, and he was talking about how he actually used to get stoned, like super fucked up, before every show for like the first 2 years 2 or 3 years that he did it. So he said,
why did he say he did it though? Probably just to deal with the.
Yeah. He said he was like nervous and like nerve wracking, and he said when they got on it, but he said the problem was that their thoughts, like, you know, they were talking and like out of nowhere he'd like just go blank.
Yeah.
And then they would talk again.
Yeah, I know. I noticed I've done it before, and I just I would have trouble expressing myself. Like kind of like the blank thing. I'd be like in the middle of a thought, and then I'd be like, you know, and like it was like a wall, and I knew what I wanted to say, but for some reason I couldn't.
It's like trying to. It's like whole of communication blocked right now. Like it's like your little brain people are like over there like picking flowers. Like instead of like, oh wait, we're in the middle of conversation. Hold on, we gotta go back. And it kind of like it hits you like you start another conversation, come back, and so going back to that one, by the way, this was this.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone where I was discussing like some philosophical stuff I was reading at the time, and then like and I've done it before where I go on like a tangent, like I got like a point I'm going to get to, but then I go on a tangent, and then after the conversation's completely over, I realize I never actually got to the main point I was trying to get to.
It's like the build up was so long that you forget what.
Well, it was like a winding road, you know, going, we could just go straight to the point, but I'm like over here, then over there, and then I totally forget what I was actually
like the main
my thesis to my argument or whatever. Yeah,
man, that's awesome. So welcome to Everything Under the Sun. Yeah, whenever Aubrey told me about the name, I was like, immediately as soon as I heard it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and get that copyrighted.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, that makes sense. Like, because I didn't know what to call it, because I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that, and I was like, Everything Under the Sun, that's perfect, because I want to talk from left to right to middle to everything.
Yeah, probably better than my suggestion.
What was your suggestion? I forgot.
Shooting the shit podcast.
Yeah, definitely. It was a tough choice. Yeah, so we just got done off. I guess it's been like over a month now since we finished the project with the kids. The mural project.
It was August 15th, right? That the project.
So
about 6 weeks.
Dang, already.
Yeah, it goes by fast.
I know, dude. I know. And I noticed after we finished, I kind of felt myself in a little weird spot where like I was up there and then like so I felt down like mentally where like, you know, I'm back to my cause my schedule, like it gives me Sunday, Monday, Tuesday and Thursday off, and you know, working with the kids out on my Tuesdays and Thursdays were taken, so I only had Sundays doing sports and hanging out with the family. So Monday was like my actual day off, but after that, you know, my Tuesday, my Thursdays were available, and it was too much free time that I wasn't doing anything productive with it, that I just felt like not like a failure, but I was just kind of like in that weird mental fog where I was kind of moping, I wasn't really doing. And talking to Kathy, I realized that I messed up in the sense of like I didn't plan ahead of like try to find something else, or like, because Kathy, like, that was one of the 3 things she got going on. Like, she's got that, she's got the Hamptons, she's got this.
Yeah.
So, and like for her, like, she's moving nonetheless.
Well, she had the Zada show, and
I
had the Zada show.
Yeah.
But I kind of had a similar feeling after the Zada show, because I was still busy up to that point, which was about 2 weeks after that. And then like the beginning of September, I'm like, okay. Where am I going now?
So were you like in that headspace for a little, like, are you out of it, or still kind of feel a little in and out?
I feel like I'm in and out. It's more of a day-to-day thing. It feels like there's days where I'm on, and then there's days where I'm just like off.
Yeah. For me, that's how it felt for like that week. It was more off than on, where like, because I was off work for like 3 days straight like that, and then when I went to serve, like, that actually made me feel better, because I was socializing, I was moving, I was doing something not necessarily more meaningful, but I was, you know, productive in the sense of like, oh, I'm making money, I'm talking to people, and I felt better. And that's kind of what, like, and I was kind of going up and down, but like by the last two weeks, I've been kind of jumping back on track. Where like, okay, like, because I told you I was gonna work on my personal projects, and even though I told myself that, I got a lot of good recordings for like whenever we did the photo shoot, like Wilma invited me out, we did that. I got some footage from there. I got some footage from here.
What was the photo shoot that
Yeah,
project?
so
What was that?
yeah, so that one was at Hunt's place. It was at the winery.
Remember?
Emily. Yeah. So I didn't know she was kind of like the because she works for the bureau. Her. Yeah, she works
Yeah.
for the bureau. So it was her, and then the photographer, videographer. They had the idea of like, oh, like let's get some people like 20 to 30, kind of go over there and kind of advertise for them and kind of buy some wine for them and kind of like, but because they wanted, basically the point of it is like they wanted to get like brochures to have it at the front, and when I got there I didn't realize that it was kind of more couples. And apparently I was kind of like her date type of thing, and which like I had no idea. So when I get there, I'm just like, oh man. So panicking because I didn't know what to do because I for as social as I am, I still kind of get like socially awkward.
Yeah.
So I was actually hanging out with the photographer, the videographer, more than I was with her at first. But as I keep drinking more wine, because we ended up having like a bottle and a half to two.
Yeah.
I'm kind of being more friendly with everybody, and then I'm talking to him so much that I'm just like, all right, dude. Like I was getting excited, and because we're talking film, we're talking shoot, and then I was like, I have my camera in the car, so I was like, I know you're the photographer, but I gotta go get my camera. So I went and got it, and I was kind of recording them a little bit. And they had live music, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna make like a little, just shoot a couple clips, kind of make like a little scenery from it. So yeah, but it was fun. But I don't know why. Whenever I went to it, in my head I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go there. We're gonna get a group photo and we're done. Like it was like some middle school like a group class photo. But no, the way that it worked out, because so what Hans Place is very good at. They have winery, they have really good slushies, but the outdoors, they have like a woodsy area, but they have like planks, like wooden planks, and like a little patio that kind of goes through the woods, and that's it was I think it was newer, like the last year or two they made it, and that's kind of what they're more known for. So he kind of had us like get a glass and kind of talk to the people, because I think there was like 8 of us, and they were kind of going up and down, kind of like guys and the girl, and then like it was like the guys by over here, kind of, so he's like kind of spread out, do different things, and he was kind of like in the kind of getting some shots of us like talking and stuff like that. But I don't know why I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get a group photo, like dude, like I don't know what I was thinking, but but it was fun though. So that's another thing that kind of kept me going, like the little events.
Did you get that finished?
The video.
The video, yeah. Did you edit it or?
So yeah,
Is it one of those projects you got just hanging in the balance?
Yeah. So like everything else that I've done the last like 6 months, it's just in the it just clips in my hard drive. Everything just piles up. I told myself, all right, like now that I'm actually getting back into like editing this one for the Mirrors project, I realized like, man, like why was I procrastinating? Like it feels a lot easier. So I'm actually gonna, fingers crossed, I'm gonna go back and then kind of like edit.
I know how it is.
Kind of edit those, but yeah, no, I still have it there. I always like to, dude. I still have footage from like when I went to New York, like back in 2018. That's on my phone before I had my camera. The footage is there. I just need to put it together. Just 'cause in my head, like, oh, it has to be perfect. And if I don't get it perfect, like
that's the issue. Is the perfection.
Yeah, dude. It stops me.
You have to let go of the idea of perfection and just do the project and do the best you can, and just hope that it comes out. If at the worst, if it comes out bad,
it still comes out, and it still does that general idea.
You can learn from your mistakes. Just think of it as a learning process, and you're gonna get better. I mean, that's how you have to approach it. If you approach it from perfection or thinking you need to have this certain level of quality to the work or whatever, it's gonna stop you, because you're just gonna procrastinate and put it off because you're fearing you're gonna fail.
That's what's been happening the last like few years. Ever since then, dude.
You got to let go of that, I think, and you just got to do the work. That's all there is to it. It doesn't matter how it comes out. It's the process that matters. You have to be in love with doing the process and get involved in the process. Do the best you can for that work that's in front of you right now, and not worry so much about the end result. The end result will come through the work. I think that's what I try to focus on.
I definitely agree.
I know I struggled with that before I still struggle with it a little bit.
But you gotten better with it, where like you
Yeah.
don't think of
With
like
my art and stuff. That's part of the reason I think I stopped for a while, is because I was just not satisfied with any of the pieces I did. And I'm still not really satisfied, but I just do the work. Anyway.
which is good that you do, because now that you say that, I'm gonna hold up before we continue. I'm gonna get that painting. We gotta get it framed. Something I want to do every time that I have like a certain artist, if if I have some of their work or they got their own work,
Yeah.
I kind of want to put it on the show, that way give them a little sense of what type of art they do, their style. If if they want to share, absolutely they don't have to, but I think that'd be kind of cool to kind of like have a display for each guest if they want to display something.
Yeah, you were telling me about that when we were discussing this podcast, that you want to do some stuff like that.
Excuse me, but I definitely agree with you, and which is funny because like I feel like I'm under control of my mind, where like I'm usually able to apply like the focus on the now, don't focus on like what's to come. But when it comes to like the editing, that's whenever like it kind of flips in my head, where I'm just like I dwell like in my head, like I'm usually able to kind of get out of my head, but when it comes to the videos, like, because I guess it's something that I still take pride in, like.
Oh yeah,
passionate.
if it's important to you, you care about the results more.
So much that it almost like blinds you, and I feel like that's what's been happening to me, because of doing that teaser trailer. Like, it honestly turned out, because in my head when I was doing it, like I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't like writing it like, okay, like I'm gonna do like a slow here, slow there. Like I had a general idea, but doing the clips and doing the video, when I was putting it together, it kind of pieced itself together. And the feedback from it was honestly like so positive and so good that I was just like, that was affirmation. I was like, why am I procrastinating everything when I know by doing the work?
Another thing, I like, even when I got back into doing my work, that's a lot of it. I was like I said, I'm not usually satisfied with most of the stuff I do, but most people. There's people out there. I don't know, say most people, because I do have a very specific style that might not appeal to everyone, but there's people out there that actually just love my work, right? And there's people that are going to love your work regardless of whether how you feel about it or not. And most artists that I know, like John Stuckey, who's at the art gallery, Kathy was telling me he's never satisfied with any of his pieces either.
And that's crazy, because like me and you are both fans of his work, so when we see it, like we admire it, but but as an artist, like putting ourselves in his shoes, like that's very understandable how we doubt ourselves too. It's like it's us versus us, like that's the biggest enemy.
It's an internal thing with the artist. It's a struggle with the artist. I think we're always trying to strive to do something better than what we've previously done. And we don't always achieve that. Maybe we have some highs here and there where like, oh, that's pretty amazing, or I did something that's at least better than my previous work, and it feels like a breakthrough, or like you're making some progress. But a lot of that is just you're at a plateau. There's a lot of a period in your artistic career where you just feel like you're in a flat plateau and you're not making, you're doing art, but it doesn't seem like you're doing anything great, but a lot of other people will like your work, even if you're not making that breakthrough for yourself or whatever.
But at least that that you touch somebody one way or another.
Yeah, that someone finds that work meaningful or just simply beautiful. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to have that like impact. A profound meaning or change someone's life necessarily. It could just be something that they find appealing.
So just appreciation for the art itself then, in that case.
For, the aesthetics and stuff. But it doesn't have to be like this profound philosophical change in someo's life. If that happens, that's plus, great. Yeah. But you can't really expect, to have that
effect on everybody, especially how everybody lives different lives and how everybody views things differently too. Or we're looking at a piece of art, and then me and you could like come together and say we both like it, but then like we feel differently about that piece of art.
We might like it for different reasons.
And it might impact us in different ways too.
It might be an intellectual, or it could be emotional. It could be, again, purely aesthetic.
So
it's
there's
gonna
literally
hit people in different ways. Someone might just like it because it looks nice. Someone
Yeah,
might
yeah,
like it
something so
because
simple like in that.
it moves them in some way, and they feel sadness or joy or some type of feeling, intense feeling, and they just like that. It gives them that feeling. Just like you listen to a song and it can be
Yeah.
sad,
Yeah,
but
dude.
people like those songs because they resonate.
Yeah, and that's
So
the
it
biggest
doesn't
thing.
necessarily have to be like, oh, it makes me happy or joy. Like a negative feeling could be just as powerful, in a lot of cases more powerful.
Yeah, no, we actually, now that you say that, I realize that as humans, we don't strive off of that, but we resonate with that a lot more. Just because like I look at like the news, I look at like the news channels and stuff like that. Most of the time, it's always like some negative, but people seem to tune into that. A lot of the times, like I think people are kind of it's more of a attention grabber whenever you see somebody getting shot and somebody getting rewarded for like doing their job or stuff like that too. So we tend to react more to negativity as opposed to positivity. Which is kind of crazy to me though. Like just because like looking at individuals, like I know it can vary, but looking as a whole, it's crazy that like that's us. Like we tend to like react to we tend to pay more attention to whenever stuff kind of
like
goes
violence
wrong.
or bad things happening or tragedies. In psychology, I'm going to use they because I don't know I can't remember all the sources. Right? Like I've read a lot and I've gone to school and everything, and so I don't know. But there's like a thing that we tend to remember negative occurrences in our lives, for instance, more than
the good times, I guess,
stuff,
per se.
Yeah. And with the news and stuff, and people being drawn to the negative stuff too, I mean, it could be like people are just drawn to that because, in a way, it could be like downward social comparison, which in psychology is where you see people that are worse off than you. Like, oh, this person's worse off, and it makes you feel better about yourself, which sounds kind of shitty.
I know.
Actually, but we all
kind
of do it. I even catch myself doing it. I kind of feel guilty when I do it. Like, oh, at least I'm not that guy. But it makes us feel better about ourselves. And then there's like upward social comparison, which is where you feel like shit about yourself because you're comparing yourself to someone who's at least seems on the surface to have a way better life or a way better situation or just are way better than you. But usually they would recommend, like, if you do upward social comparison, use it as sort of a inspiration to try to reach that goal.
Without trying to, oh man, like why am I not, without like doing that full comparison of like, man, why am I not doing that? And you saying that too, the last part, I think that's what we suffer the most. It's like that with like social media and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest downfall of like, of course people only post like the highlights. They don't post like the excuse me, they don't post like the the whole story. They only post like that 1/4 of like what's really going on. So when people get on it, like they start immediately kind of like, oh man, like how come that person gets to go on a trip all the time? Little do they know they took the same picture, in that same vacation, just different locations, and they kind of make it seem like they've been living that life.
There's sort of like with the social media, it's like a constructed illusion of their lives, and you're seeing like the best of people's lives, and a lot of those people are the ones that have a lot of followers are making money off of it. A lot of money, and they're a lot better off financially, and they can go out and do a bunch of stuff. And you're like, and then it makes people like the common man that's like can't afford to go on all these vacations and do
like,
all these.
It makes them go the opposite road,
and it makes you feel almost like, it makes everyone else feel like kind of like shit, or their lives aren't that good or interesting because they're comparing them to people that have a ton of money, that are going out and doing all kinds of fun, exciting stuff. And they're like, I'm just going to my 9 to 5, going home, watching,
some highlights or something.
Watching something, and maybe, playing video games or, mowing the lawn.
So, that's actually like the whole standard of like living in the U.S. because of like the whole typical thing is like you get up, you shower, you eat whatever, you go to your 9 to 5, you get off, you spend maybe a little bit of time with your family if you have some. If not, you watch something and then you watch entertainment and then like eat, go to sleep, rinse and repeat. So whenever the whole pandemic happened, I think that kind of did a lot of good in the sense of like it detached people from their like fast-paced everyday lives that they weren't thinking, they were just kind of doing, they were on this like endless cycle. Like the way I kind of look at it, it's almost like this hamster wheel where like they're grinding their whole life for nothing really. They're constantly on that wheel. So whenever that kind of happened, that I think that kind of gave people time to detach and kind of like realize who they are as a person and like kind of realize what they really want. Like, all right, like what am I doing? Like am I doing something or like or am I actually pursuing like after something that I want? And as a species, as a consciousness too, we started kind of tapping into the fifth density, so that kind of helped a lot of people kind of wake up in the sense of like.
You have to explain to me the fifth entity.
Oh yeah. So the whole the fifth density, just because.
Are you saying entity or density?
Density.
Density. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the fifth density. So that's kind of like the stage that we are as a consciousness. This is whole thing where like we're one consciousness, but we're just like at different levels as a whole.
Okay.
So with the fifth density, that's kind of because lower densities is kind of like us acting upon our animalistic selves, like our ego or like or like driven by like men, like manly
So
behavior.
it's like man was when we were just cavemen.
In
a way, it's almost an animal brain type thing.
Yeah, in that sense of like like our lower selves.
Where did these densities from? Where did you get these? I'm curious.
So kind of like you, that I watch like a lot of like
or
videos on YouTube.
You might not remember.
I don't know. I don't necessarily like know the source because I watch so many so many videos that like that all kind of like.
Well, it don't have to be the exact source, but you know, like usually certain concepts or ideas, like intellectual concepts, they come from like a particular
era
person or some that or like from psychology or something like that, or a philosopher comes up with like, oh, this is my theory of this, and they'll come up with like terminologies and stuff. And I haven't heard of that. So
so for on that one, I guess we'll be talking more like on the whole like spiritual aspect when it talks about like the chakras, like those are like seven sacred spots within us that kind of like that kind of deal with different things.
I'm not too well read on chakras.
So kind of like to kind of summarize the chakras, like there's different chakras for different things. For example, like me and my girlfriend, like we were both kind of lacking like our throat chakra in the sense of like we weren't communicating the way that we felt we could have or should have. So for me, like that was a thing. Or like my third eye chakra, where I felt like I was blinded by certain things, because it's almost like thinking in the level of vibrations, frequency, kind of in that type of level where like whenever you're vibrate at a certain level, and in the sense of like what you're doing, who you are, what your mentality is, and what you believe to be. We vibrate at different things. For negative, we're gonna be vibrating on a lower frequency as opposed to more positive or different things. But there is So going on.
We should just go to the density.
Yeah.
Because that's where
So the density, it's kind of it's like a concept. It's kind of like so when we look at the Earth as a whole, it's almost like a period of like I think it happens. I don't know if it's like every 2,000 to 5,000 years, or 200 to it's a big difference, or 200 years. I can't remember exactly the dates.
Yeah,
and numbers.
I sometimes remember,
but
very significant numbers that I should know.
I know. But yeah, just because like I know we've been living on this like third density for a good while, where with the Earth itself, it's almost like it kind of reached its cycle where
it's almost like an evolution for the consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard of a concept like that. I can't remember where it was from. I don't think they used the densities,
but it was just
but there's something like an evolution of consciousness. It was in philosophy. It might have even been like Hegel, maybe, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly what, but yeah, it kind of deals with basically like the philosophy of consciousness itself, and like the evolutions, like the levels that
like
it kind of goes through,
like the collective conscious of all
Yeah,
man, like
yeah,
where
yeah.
we're at as a society,
as a whole, like as a whole human.
yeah, not like just
Mhm.
individuals' psychology.
Yeah, because it's almost like we went through those stages
Yeah.
of like when we look back in the early days, we were like just in the earlier densities where we were just kind of based each other off of like traits, like hunting, gathering, that kind of stuff. Where we're just that's what we're acting. But as the Earth kind of kept evolving, we kept evolving too, and we started kind of like tapping into like our higher wisdom in the sense of like,
Yeah.
all right, there's better ways of doing things, kind of things
And then
like
we
that.
developed writing and art and stuff like that. That would be like kind of like where we're learning to express ourselves and stuff like that, and that's like an evolution in
Especially the creative aspect, like you were saying.
that collective psychology, or that would have been like something along the lines of maybe the second density. Would you say?
Yeah.
What are the densities? I mean, where do they fall? You said we're in the fourth.
Fifth, actually. We kind of
Fifth?
skipped the fourth. I was kind of confused. So look, taking out the densities too, there is.
Hey Jamie, bring that up.
Yeah, I know that. I wish
We almost
I
need
wish,
that. That
I
would
wish.
be very helpful.
Yeah, because I have the screen there too.
Yeah,
so
it'd be nice
I know.
if we could just
Well, now that you say that, I think what I'm gonna do, I think for the next
You could
episode, I'm gonna
set
put
it
my,
up,
my
yeah.
computer right here in the middle. And or what you gotta look up, I'll be doing it. But at some point,
Yeah.
maybe if I can get somebody like that kind of like worries about like all the technical stuff, I can kind of get them like our Jamie, and then kind of pulls it up. Oh, that'd be so perfect.
and we could just like look at the
And
the
then
thing
discuss
and
it.
Discuss
I
it.
know.
That's do you put your music online at all?
Not yet.
Anything?
Not yet. I'm kind of as I keep progressing, because I've been kind of hoarding all my music, because of kind of like the same thing what I was telling you with the videos is just like
Get a certain amount of content done and then release it
yeah
periodically.
that. And then I made a promise to one of my friends. He's an artist too, down from Louisiana. Shout out to G Keller. I told him I promised I would make drop a song, because when he came here to visit me, I kind of showed him a couple of things. Another too with the music, like I just started about a little over a year now, and I was still trying to find like who I kind of was as an artist. So that's another reason why like I didn't want to drop yet until I kind of got like a good grasp of like, okay, like kind of what am I doing. And then I'm actually gonna have like a mini listening party, which is like
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah, and then because I want to do 10 tracks that I want to like display, and then have them kind of pick the top 3, and then release those in the month of like late October, November, and December. It's kind of what I'm kind of plotting in my head.
Yeah.
That way I release one song a month for like those 3 months, and kind of just wait on it, sit on it.
See how
Yeah,
things
but
go.
yeah, but just kind of give an idea to people what kind of music I'm doing, and then kind of keep working on that, and then just keep piling up, and then kind of like wait till like my birthday, like around my birthday, February, and see if I can kind of drop like a little, either like an EP or something, if I can do like
That'd
a
be-
3-4 song.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so like I've been kind of like I was like, hold on to the idea. It kind of just keeps building
I
up.
kind of like that idea actually. I like where you're going with
Yeah,
that.
and the whole reason. Shout out to Russ. He's my favorite. I one of the artists that I listen to. He kind of gave us the blueprint on how it's done, how you should do it. Because this guy, so in the vault, he's got like 150 songs, but he knows how to do it, because he blew up. He was doing it for like since 2000. Like 2008, 2009, he was 2008 or something like that. He was doing music. No, 2006, 2005, 2006, he was doing music, beats and stuff like that. But he didn't blow up till 2014, 2016.
Oh, wow.
And the way he did it, because I think he dropped like 11 projects and they never blew up, because he realized like people have a short attention span.
He was releasing the full album.
Exactly. He was doing
at
like
once.
10,
just
20,
like, hey,
10,
here's your
yeah. So people
like
were
a
only
full
people.
album,
He
yeah.
realized like psychologically, people were only listening to the first 2-3 songs the fullest, and then as the list went on, there was less and less time.
Yeah.
And what's nice about like Spotify and all this stuff, it gives you statistics on like the cities and countries that your music's getting played at.
Yeah.
So based on that, okay, you see what songs are kind of popping out. So he was kind of talked about like how he was very wary of what was working, what wasn't working, and as he went on, he realized that. Well, he always claimed that he knew the music was always good, but the way he was delivering it wasn't the best idea. So I think 2016 he did like a 10-week 10 to 15 week song release where he was on one song a week, and he realized by him doing that, the numbers were kept like adding up per song, because you know you're giving that song a week of playtime, so people, if it's a good song, people are gonna keep playing it, and they're anticipating it the next week. So it's almost like, you know, you're dropping these little crumbs for people, you know, and they keep going. Like psychologically, you're like, oh man, he's so consistent with it, even though realistically it's just one album, you know, one album a year that he was doing, but he was kind of like spreading it out into singles. And so like,
and people listen to that once a month because it's like maybe a 5-minute song, 3 to 5 minute song. Listen to that, and then the next month the other one dropped. It's just a 3 to 5 minute song. So they end up listening to the whole album.
Yep. As opposed to like, you know, dropping the whole album and like only putting like let's say the whole album is like 60 minutes, only putting like 30 minutes of time into it, and like I'm kind of done with it now. But yeah, he kind of, so he kept doing that over and over, like every year, till he realized like he blew up here, okay, kind of died down, still kind of popping a little bit, do it again in like 5 months, blows up again. And that kind of gave me I was like, man, like that's smart. Like I kind of want to do it like that. And another reason too, in case like I was to blow up or get picked up by a sponsor, then like, oh, like, hey, like, you have any more content? Like, oh yeah, I have a whole thing. It's almost like one of those things. Like once I kind of start taking my shot, like if I get a chance, like I don't want to miss. So I want to be prepared for anything. Like, oh yeah, like, okay, we're interested. Like, do you have any video coming up that you know you could add us? Oh, perfect, I can get you next week or something like that. So I've been trying to kind of play it smart, because I've been trying the whole YouTube thing for a while, and my consistency was my downfall.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, that sounds good, but there's part of me that's like, you need to just get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
At the same time,
that's my other side telling me.
I mean, because I kind of did that too with my art. I was like, I need so many pieces to start out with, but what I end up doing is I just said the hell with that, and I just took a few pieces into Kathy, for instance, at the gallery. That's you know, one little now things are
domino
moving.
effect.
But if I kept just
hoarding on to them,
I wouldn't have done the project with the kids.
Dang,
I wouldn't be working at the gallery at all.
So it's crazy
and I
how
wouldn't have sold that art at the Zada
one
show.
little thing just, excuse me, it's almost like that butterfly effect. One little event affects everything into play.
Yeah, a lot of other stuff that I didn't think was gonna happen started happening.
Dang.
And like I said, I didn't try to hoard it at that time. I was just like, I'm just taking some pieces in. You know, I was just like, because it motivates me more to do it, because now
pressure.
There's more pressure. Yep. There's expectations.
Yep.
People are like, oh, they want me to put some stuff in that guild show for the artist. Guild. So there's that coming up. They wanted me to put stuff in Art Again Alley, but they kind of asked me too late to get something finished for that. But yeah, there's just opportunities now and more reason to actually get to doing the art, because I was struggling with motivating myself, because I was just doing it, you know, every now and then when I felt like it, and then just tossing it in a cupboard.
So now, how much time would you say you put into your craft, really, as opposed to before?
Not enough.
Still,
but a lot more.
Like, for example, like
I'm
on your days
much
off,
more consistent.
Are you working on them, like, let's say on a day-to-day basis? Are you kind of doing it like every day, or like?
It's inconsistent. There's weeks where I don't do a whole lot, and then there's weeks where I do more.
But you still try to, even if it's little, you still try to do something?
I try to do at least a little bit, you know, whenever I can. But yeah, there's weeks where I've been, like, I'd say a week ago, I probably put a good 20 hours in, for instance.
I started seeing smoke. I was like, oh, fuck,
yeah,
I was on fire. I was on fire.
I thought one of the electric things might have been.
For a second, I was like, shit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it went out.
But yeah, like I'd say, like a couple, like the other week I put in maybe 20 hours, but it also felt like I didn't get anything done because I didn't finish any pieces. Mm-hmm. It was just like stuff I'd start and I'd be like, I don't like this one.
That's my issue.
And then it feels like, even though I put that 20 hours in, which is, you know, with my job and everything else going on, is a decent amount of time to put into art. And it's like, but it felt like I got nothing done. And there's weeks where I put less time than that.
But
I finished stuff, and it definitely felt like I achieved more. It's like, oh, I actually got some finished art.
So it's almost like kind of like moving with like a certain purpose type of thing. So it's more of like the purpose, the action, you know, what you get done as opposed to the time. Like, so there's no like correlation there of like, okay, like you were saying, some days put more time, but the product's not done, but
I
it was
mean,
in list
if
days.
you're putting the time in, there's a certain sense. I don't know. I struggle with it. I feel like I could work on stuff all day, every day, and still feel like I'm not getting enough done, just because there's so many things. Kind of like you, like not just within art, but like even within art, actually, just I got so many sort of projects in my head and like directions I'd like to go. But I also, outside of the art, there's just other hobbies and interests. Like I told you before we started recording, like I haven't been reading much lately. And I've been slacking on it, and I'm supposed to be starting a book club.
Yeah,
I
forgot about that.
I feel like I'm not qualified at all to do it now. But like, if you would have asked me like a couple months ago, I was reading more consistently. I've been like, oh yeah, I could do the book club. And now it's like, man, I've been slacking so much. I don't feel like I'm like much of a
reader.
I don't
guess now.
Yeah. I feel like a phony or something. That guy's not a real reader.
Oh my god, that's funny. You bring that out too, just because like starting this, like I was in the same place where like
the book club too is a thing that started. Like the book club was not even on my radar doing a book club. That's another thing that's just come out of this, just taking those few art pieces. Like there's just so many things that are just coming at me now, and just
so it's cool.
Things that I'm interested in that are opportunities
actually happening. So it's almost like you plant like the big seed, and now like this little the tree has grown. That first tree has grown, and it's dropping
branching out
exactly
and more seeds.
Yep. Yeah. So now you're realizing there's different possibilities, ideas, outcomes of everything.
Yeah, I think the delaying thing, because I kind of did that. And I don't know. I don't know about it. I think you just got to get stuff out there. That's how opportunities come to you. And if you have the pressure, like I said, of having to do stuff, you're going to get more stuff done.
I agree, because like, how I was telling you about Wilma. So she, all right, confession. I'm sorry, Wilma. I actually did not even start on the video till like 2 days ago. Disclaimer. But yeah, no, her, like, she was like, hey, like, so the month's almost coming up, like, are you gonna have the video? And I realized like how, like, I was like, oh man, like there's only a day and a half left in the month of September. And for like 3 weeks I was procrastinating this video, just because I would pull it up and I would try to like I already had some like 3/4 footage. I didn't have all the footage, but I was like, oh man, like, what do I even start? Like, it's already kind of up. I don't know how I feel about it. I will kind of watch it and I was like, oh, it's a mess. And she texted me that, and I was like, okay, I gotta get on it. So like, that pressure just kicked in. I came home on my break, actually.
You almost have to get yourself, because it seems like when you're delaying it, you're trying to get good, like, and you're trying to build up. It's almost like building yourself again. As you said, a safety net, and it's more comforting. But I think in a way you almost have to be uncomfortable and to get. And I struggle with it too. I want to be more comfortable and confident and know I can get everything
that balance,
done.
Dude. Oh, that's what's so hard.
Yeah, but I think you almost have to just put yourself out there and just. I think it, like, even if you release the music, like just one track at a time, like you could do that and not
have to put that extra.
Wait like 10 months to have like an album. You know what I'm saying? You could just and then release it once. Because what you're saying is kind of like, I'm going to build up an archive of tracks, maybe an album's worth or an EP's worth, like 6 months of tracks if you did them once a month. But you're just going to wait 6 months and do it. But you could just do the first track now and do the second track and do the third
like
track.
As time comes on.
I think, yeah. And I think it would probably, I don't know, because you struggle with consistency, you said. And I do too. But yeah, I think it would maybe pressure you, because you would be getting feedback on the first track and people would be looking for, hey, when's the second track?
And that's the thing, like,
and you might feel like you feel more
pressured,
pressure, and you feel obligated almost to your listeners.
Wow.
Like, you don't want to disappoint them.
I used to do that with my YouTube. Like, I would literally title my video, hey guys, like, I'm sorry, I was gone for 6 months. I'm back for sure. I'm good to go now. Drop the video. Be gone for like another 6 months. All right, guys, I'm back again. I know I told you that last video, but this time it's for real. Goes for 3 months. Goes for a year. I'm just like, oh man, like,
it's tough.
Yeah, I know, but you saying that though, you're right. Just because like I like everything, there's a balance. Like, there's two sides to everything. Like, I have my analytical side and I have my creative side, and there's times where it beautifully kind of meets in the middle, but there's times where they're both kind of like, there's different approaches that I want to take, and like you saying that because I go back and forth both ways, and no, you're also right about that too, because like, you know, all my stuff is like not getting plays, it's not getting views, and like it's just sitting there, like, you know, anything happens, it's just gonna be sitting there, as opposed to like, you know, just throwing it out there, because I realized that too, that the imperfection is what people kind of tend to fall in love like that in the sense of like they like to see a progression of you going up.
There's no such thing as perfection.
That's true too, and that's another thing that kind of ruins art. Whenever you try to perfect it, that's when usually you overdo it, or you just change the mean. You change the, you know, the beauty of the raw and the pureness of you just doing it, just because like you did it, so it meant something to you.
People
right then and
relate
there.
to that. They don't relate to the perfection.
And that's true too, and that's something like. And to go back on that too, I also have a lot of like unfinished projects. That's another reason, because, you know, I have like, let's say 50 songs unfinished. Finished songs, 10 out of those 50, like only have like 10, like less than 10 actually. I got like 6 or 7.
You finished the ones you felt the best about, probably.
Yeah,
for the most part, or the ones that you were really in the moment, or in the mood or whatever.
And I tell myself I'm gonna go back later, and then like.
It's easier for me, for instance, to finish a piece that I'm, at least, you know, if I'm halfway through and I'm like, I like where this is going.
You want to actually take advantage of that.
Yeah, but it's harder to finish a piece if I'm kind of halfway through it and I'm kind of like, I'm not really excited about it. It's not interesting to me, or it just doesn't look as good. And then there's ones that look like, hey, that looks a lot better. I like how this is coming out. I like what I'm doing with this, and it motivates me more. So I think you just got to kind of follow what's inspiring you.
Yeah, no, that's another thing
There's a lot of artists that probably have. I think most artists have unfinished work.
It's some type of work or not.
It's just a thing.
Yeah,
I've heard stories of like, you know, Picasso, and other artists who just they have so much unfinished art that I read about a specific painting. I can't remember which one. I think it was a Picasso though, and it's like, oh, he had it sitting around for 3 years unfinished, and then he finished it. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
There's a bunch of artists that do that, and that are extremely successful, and they have art that just sits around unfinished.
So it's about almost like finding out what works for you, because like you know, apart from a viewpoint, it's almost like trying different things and finding out what works, what doesn't, and you know, some of the things like. You know, you may finish, or you may be like halfway on something, but you kind of hit a dead stop. You know, like that's the way I kind of view things. Like I kind of hit a dead stop in a moment where like, oh, I'll just throw it in the archives and I'll do something else. And eventually, like I'll come back to it and see if once I forget, when I come back to it, like, oh, let me see if I can do the same thing, either add on to it or build onto it from there, or like literally use whatever I had recorded. And like, all right, let me see if I can, now that I grown like 6 months from that project to the next one, like let me see if I can, with this new kind of viewpoint, skill sets, let's see if I can with that. Yeah. So that kind of because I done that where like I kind of go back into like old work, and I was like, I kind of like that, but a lot of times like for music there's like a 3-part component where like I got to do like a verse, another verse, and a chorus. And sometimes I can either just tackle either the verse or the chorus, or maybe 2 verses and I don't have the chorus, and that's why it goes kind of in the archives. But I challenged myself, talking about pressure. I challenged myself last year. It was actually my first official song that I did. It was for a for a challenge. There was this YouTuber producer that I watch. And then he did like a little challenge. He made 4 different beats, 4 different style of beats, uploaded them, and then for people to download. And kind of he challenged us. He was like, all right, I'm gonna be doing like a reviewing of like I don't know, like 5 to 10 people, and then picking a winner from the people that kind of make songs off of that. And that was like the first time I really attempted it. And I got some feedback, and I was like, on beat, I wasn't this, but what I was saying, what I was doing, I really like. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it again. But this time I'm gonna make my own instrumental, my own beat. And I give myself a challenge. I told him, because that one I ended up submitting it late, so I think I was late when I finished it. So I was like, all right, because that took me over a month. So I was like, you know what, I bet myself I can't do a song in a week, And like I don't know what I did exactly. I don't know if I wrote it down on physical or like on a board or what, but that was my favorite song for the longest time, and it's my favorite song that's complete. Because that one I was like, all right, I'm just gonna challenge myself, attempt it, and there was a certain magic in that moment whenever I was just like acting upon like, oh man, I gotta finish it. But you know what I was doing in that point when I was throwing an idea. I kept the idea. I might have changed words here and there to kind of make it fit or rhyme better, but the concept was like pure in the sense of like, all right, I did this. All right, let me move on to the next thing without like, oh, let me modify this. Like keep modifying. I might have just modified it once or twice, but it had a certain like a little bit of repetition, but it was just a perfect amount that it just went so well. And the next part, I kind of changed it up a little bit, but it was like that, all right, like finish it, move on to the next part without like dwelling so much on this part, working on this, but still thinking about this. And I think like that pressure that I put on definitely challenged me into the sense of like kind of tapping into a different level of feeling and thinking that I didn't know I could do. And that was probably the most magical time that I completed a song in a week. I don't think I ever done another one in a week. I completed something in a month or 2 months, but that one just like, it's my favorite for the reason of like the magic that happened when I was making that. Like I haven't been able to fully replicate it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I maybe I need to kind of keep doing more challenges like that where like without dwelling so much of like the outcome or I'm gonna do this, but just being there, doing it, doing the work. And then when I'm finished, I'm like looking back, I'm like, whoa, like that actually really worked out. Let me upload it. And then that putting that pressure, I think might even help me kind of come up with another one like that.
And again, even just doing the work, I mean, you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
Just the more repetition, the more songs you do,
that's something I realized.
You're gonna grow. So even your failures or even unfinished projects,
it's just lessons,
you're
really.
putting time into it. You're learning. You're like, oh, I don't like how that came out. Well, what did I do wrong? Like,
I know, like self-checking yourself.
Like you think, well, what can I do to improve that, or what can I do to make that more interesting or make that better? So, like, even those failures you're making progress. It might not seem like it sometimes, or you're just you're spinning your wheels, but you're getting somewhere.
Yeah, and kind of like you were saying that, you know, even a little bit of work is better than no work. I think I saw something the other day where we talked about like either 1,000 or 10,000 hours of thinking, or no, 1 hour of doing work is way better than 5 to 10,000 hours of actually thinking about that, like of actually just putting the action as opposed to just, and that's something I struggle too, trying to get like ideas and try to put so much in my head that sometimes I kind of I'm up there so much with like, oh, like new ideas, this and that I kind of forget about putting the actual ideas into the physical world. So that's another thing too that I need to like even work on, you know, for myself. But I'm glad that, you know, like this whole podcast finally happened.
Yeah, this is we were talking about this in like
what, like at least
April?
I was at least 6 months ago.
April or May maybe.
Yeah, around that time. And that's actually whenever I started really like thinking about it again, because the original idea for me had to be 2017 or 2018. I had a friend, he was very similar to you too. We would always go after work. We used to work at a restaurant together, and we got out at like 1:30. We used to travel to Massillon, and then that's where we lived. Kind of take the back roads from Sugar Creek all up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would get to his place, and we would go down his basement. We had like a little couch futon type of thing. Had a TV, and then we would watch kind of like science videos. A lot of the times that's something we both really liked. And we would just discuss about everything, talk, like, and smoking, and that kind of helped me kind of like slow down my ideas. And we're just discussing all the time. And during that period, I grew so much, like mentally, like I felt like I went from the age of like 19, 20 to like 24. And during those conversations, like I realized, like, man, like, you know, I was getting so many ideas. Like back then, I got the idea of music because I was mainly doing photography and videography. But back then, I was like already thinking about music, on podcasts, but they were just ideas at that time.
Yeah.
Just because I'm a firm believer that whenever you are with another person and you guys just connect so well on a truthfully honest level, that's where like new ideas are born. And that's when the magic happens. but I always thought about it, but I never fully dove into the idea. It was just a dream at that time. And
Yeah.
but slowly kind of like investing my time into photography, videography, and meeting people. I slowly kind of like started like putting a brick at a time, kind of
Yeah.
building to where I wanted to get. And whenever I met you this year, just because like I wanted to do it, but I felt stronger about it if I had a strong host that I could relate to intellectually, like
Yeah.
have a good conversation. Just because being a podcast, like that's what it's dependent on. It's not dependent on looks, not depending on beliefs. It's dependent on somebody that's like that has good knowledge on, because we always talked about we're usually not masters on one thing. We like to kind of have balance of everything.
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of looking for, for this, because I
Mhm.
needed somebody that that like I said, I want to make you my co-host. I want somebody that I can have here multiple times, but always have
Yeah.
like a different conversation that doesn't get boring, repetitive, and thinking of everybody I know as of now. You were the perfect fit for this. So I kept thinking about it, and I was slowly brainstorming in my head without writing anything out. It was all in my head, kind of coming together. And as we progressed, I kept, again, earning money through the kids, investing in that, and then slowly kind of putting my work into the actual filmmaking part.
Yeah.
That I was okay. Like I'm putting in the work now, and like I feel like now I can kind of branch off, not necessarily
Mhm.
master it, but I got the general idea on how. Like I know I can do a good video, and I wasn't
Yeah.
doing a whole lot for a while, but working with the kids and doing that trailer video, that was a challenge for me to prove to myself that even though
I mean, that's sort of the thing is that gave you something to work on that you had to get done.
yeah,
And you were getting paid.
yeah, and
So
and
that pressure is you too, because it's like they paid me to help with this class and to make this video.
and like how you did the excuse me, like the presentations too.
Yeah.
Like that's
I
another
would have
thing
never
too.
put the time into that.
I don't blame
I
you.
haven't used PowerPoint forever. It
Not since college then, huh?
Yeah, not since college. Yeah, and that was like 8 years ago.
That's
So
funny.
it's like, oh, I'm putting together PowerPoint presentations, doing research on this
dude.
stuff. And I would have never got around to doing all
Damn.
that. And presenting it too. Like I
Yeah.
hadn't
You did very good.
I hadn't done a presentation since college. And I remember the first time like in college, because I went out of high school and I didn't go to college right away. But the first presentation I did in college, I was literally just shaking.
Was it with like the pressure and everything was that bad?
And my presentation was, everyone thought it was good.
But yourself.
But I was just so nervous the
about
whole
it.
time, and I was literally shaking and stuff. And I didn't feel that way with this though, even though it had been 8 years for some reason. Maybe it's because they were younger kids. I don't know. That could be.
And
whereas in college,
you
it
change
was
your perception too.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of grown out of the phase too.
Maybe.
I'm sure that had something to do with it
Yeah.
too.
It could be that they were just kids too, and
everything adds
rather
on.
than like college students that are maybe, I was a little older than most of them, but there's some older.
So
people
you had
go.
that pressure, but it wasn't like oh my god, like they're judging everything, like 'cause it's almost like
I know
no
the kids
competition.
most of them are probably falling asleep while I'm talking.
Well, you saw the video; they were taking notes. A lot of them were taking notes.
Yeah, Kathy made them.
Oh,
She's like, you better take notes, so they would pay attention.
That's funny, dude.
So I don't know,
but they know they
yeah.
they definitely learn from those though.
Yeah, I hope so.
But that's another thing too. Like, similar concept of us like not doing most of our craft like how we should have, and then actually doing this, like we were able to do well under the pressure. Because like doing this video, I haven't done one in like a year and a half, and my last one was nothing professional. It was just Dundee Falls, and I got that camera for that reason. I was like, okay, like I'm buying it as an investment, but I need to, because I knew I could do a good video, but I needed to prove to myself without just telling me, like in my head, just because we can fall for our own
You
selves.
didn't just do a good video. You did a 30-minute video, right?
Oh yeah, that one, which I'm not finished. That one,
And you're not finished.
But
it's at like 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
I got to see the rough cut.
Yeah. I think you're the first one, I guess, to see a preview of the whole thing. I haven't, because I just started working on it yesterday. So
yeah.
But that teaser video, like I was so happy with how it turned out.
Oh, it did. It turned out great.
That I was just like, oh my, like I was just like in that same stuff, just because like when I do something, I try to do the best of my ability, but going on that too, like I didn't feel like I mastered it, but I felt like I had a good idea where like I almost feel like I don't have to do it constantly to kind of keep that same ideology. And that's the hard part with balancing like the music, trying to do this, trying to do that. Like, but I realized that
it's harder to be consistent when you're doing
so many different
things, but it's hard to just focus on one thing.
Yeah,
because you get
it's
bored
that beautiful.
and you just
it's that,
almost need to do other stuff.
That's exactly me, dude.
It's just really hard. And there's people that can literally just do one thing, focus on that all the time, but I don't know how they do it.
I can't either.
I have to bounce around and do other things.
I could do that for a day, but next day I feel like a whole different way. Where like I don't feel like doing that. I want to do this. Like
I was like that a little bit when I was like remember I was telling you at the Zada show about my art. Like when I was in high school.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
you were getting compliments from people.
There was in high school, like my last semester, I had it set up where I was drawing all day, every day.
Yeah, you're telling you were skipping lunch and everything?
I skipped lunch to go to art class. I had a drafting class, I had an art class, and then I had 4 study halls. I set it up to where, because I had enough credits to graduate, so I didn't need that many courses. So I had 4 study halls, and I used those all to do art.
The dedication on that level must have been
and
insane.
then I'd go home and work on art most of the time.
How old were you around that period, by the way?
I was like 18. I mean, it was my senior year.
You saying that, I just gave me a big flashback. I want to tell you the story too. Whenever because I used, my first time doing YouTube from 14 to 16, I was in that similar boat where like, which is funny how when we're younger, that's when we first put in all that time, all that effort. We're like now, like that I'm older, like that we're getting more opportunities. I'm not putting that same.
I think it's because, like back then, it was just
blindness, purity.
It was
purity.
just art.
It was just pure at that point, huh?
I don't know about pure. It's just that it was about art only. I just didn't try. I wasn't reading literature. Like I read a lot of literature now. Like I've developed more interests, I think, across
a lot more things.
And there's some degree to where it's just life. Like I got more responsibilities. I got to pay rent and stuff. So I got my job and everything too. And there's just all kinds of more distractions too. Whereas in your school, you can kind of just focus on what you want to. I mean, you got your classes, but like I said, I had mine set up where I only had like 2 classes I had to actually go to that weren't art related.
Dang,
and
dude.
everything else was art related or study halls, which I just did art.
Yeah.
And I didn't even try very hard in my classes. I would just do enough to
get by.
I would put the minimal work just so I can focus more on doing the art. It was just all about that at that time. But then I developed interest in literature and philosophy and other topics and just other interests.
Branching out literally everywhere.
And then it's just really hard for me to just be like that again, because I can't do just art all the time. I just feel like I have to spend some time doing these other things.
It's almost like once you kind of raise your consciousness you open your consciousness to like different roads. Like you can't just drive on one road. You want to drive on all of them.
You want to drive on all the roads.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually might have what happened to me too. Just because back then, mostly 16, 17, I was primarily focused on videos, making videos. Like I was doing Vine, I was doing YouTube videos. You got almost
a laser like focus on the one thing, yeah.
So the way, so back then I actually, on my equipment now, I really wanted to focus on having nice stuff, and because back then I really didn't have nice stuff. So I wanted to make sure, I kind of fulfill my dream in the sense of like, I want to have the best stuff that I can kind of make the best work. Because back then, I remember we had like a little family computer. It was like a little laptop. It was a Windows. It was like maybe like $250. So you can imagine how much RAM that has for someone that's doing editing. So yeah, so that was what I was editing on. And on top of that, because I was doing gaming, I was doing vlogs, because I wanted to do videos, but I wanted to do different kinds of videos. And for the gaming, for example, I'll walk you to my process. So I didn't have an actual capture card or in any way that I could record the game.
Yeah.
So I had to find clever ways of recording it. So what I was doing, I was actually live streaming the game, and then I was literally not downloading. I was screen capturing my recording of the live stream.
Yeah.
So and then from there I was putting that, so you can imagine the compression that it went through already.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like doing like fidgety ways of adding like a camera and stuff like that. And then for the editing, that's the best part. I used to have this program called Camtasia. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No.
I had the free trial in my computer. Well, you know, you get the 30-day free trial. So my computer wasn't connected to the online clock.
Yeah.
Because I would literally change the date on my computer constantly.
So that you can keep
the program, dude.
the program. Yeah.
So, but the point of that, it was the dedication that there was no excuse.
Yeah.
Nothing was stopping me from creating what I wanted to create. I was working what I had and doing clever ways, and for like, excuse me. And then for the vlogs and stuff too, like that was like weird things I had to do to like set up my phone or do different things. But everything was always like, I was basically putting in like, I don't know, dude, like let's say like a 5-minute video. Realistically, I was putting in like 2-3 hours. There was times where like I would literally like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna focus on this video today, and editing it. I was editing it from the time I would wake up, eat, come back, and until the time I went to sleep, just working on editing like a 5-10 minute video because of all the extra stuff I had to do. And another thing too, talking about computer, it had no RAM, so for longer than 2-minute videos, I couldn't watch the playback because they'd be like choppy.
Oh yeah.
So what I had to do, dude, I had to render the whole video. So I had to wait like 20-30 minutes for it to render.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, like let me watch it. Oh, I don't like that part. I would literally have to write on a piece of paper. Okay, cut at 55 seconds to 58 seconds. Okay, I'll cut at this. And then watch cut, render again, watch the playback. Oh, I missed this. I would have to cut, render. So the process was an insane amount, dude. And I think that's the only reason why I procrastinate now. Like, for remembering how dwelling it was freaking working on hours on a freaking short clip. Knowing, I mean, now it's so much better, but I think just the idea is still in my subconscious.
Got PTSD
from it. Yeah, that's literally what it is. It's so funny.
All right, we need to take a break.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I gotta